You're listening to Montreal Now with Aaron Rand and Natasha Hall on CJAD 800.
That is James Mennie over at the Montreal Gazette. And Jim, I guess we'll start. This will be my question coming up in a minute with the big press conference today. Valerie Plante formally announcing that the Camillien-Houde will be closed to through traffic for cars and trucks. It'll only be open for cyclists, unicyclists, skateboarders, longboarders, and other people who have no vehicular...
Angry walkers. Yeah. I intend to be just an angry walker.
Walkers, yeah. You better be in good shape if you want to walk across the mountain, by the way. So, James, we saw this coming, and, you know, the part that's, I don't know if you call it galling or not, part of this is the city ignoring its own public consultation in 2019.
Oh, public consultations. Didn't you hear the mayor? The world has changed.
Yes. Boy, has it ever in 4 years, huh?
Smog from forest fires. People are under pressure from extreme weather. How do you respond to that? Well, you just grab that situation by the lapels and you make absolutely sure that your administration guarantees that the high-end elite cyclists in the Plateau Montreal will have their own dedicated, virtually private training track, while anybody else who wants to use a public park can schlep up Remembrance Road, hope they find a parking spot, and then hike to wherever it is they want to be in the park. There's as you may have noticed in my cleverly worded scheduling to you guys, the headline on there, I'm very proud of that. There's Camillien-Houde Way, and there's Valerie Plante's Way. And guess which one is always going to win? That would be number 2, guys. This is an administration that I think their political philosophy was best summed up by Luc Ferrandez, who is now no longer in politics, no longer with Projet Montreal, who very candidly told an interview at La Presse once, you know, if you don't like what we're doing, you can just vote us out next term. Yeah. This is the political view of this administration. And the idea that, well, you know, 85% of the car traffic across Camillien-Houde is just as a shortcut. Do you think that might be because there's a need for that link between Parc and Côte-des-Neiges? Do you think maybe that, you know, people aren't doing it for the view? They're just driving through because essentially between the traffic problems, the absolutely incoherent road repair policy of this administration, that people are saying, yeah, this is the best way for me to get from point A to point B. Wait till this goes into effect, and we're going to have so much fun talking about moving from point A to point B on Côte-des-Neiges Road, or indeed on Park Avenue.
Good God. I mean, I used to use it every day. I used to go across from, when I lived on the plateau, I would go across the mountain almost every single day. It is by far the fastest and most efficient way to go, even if you're not speeding.
And you know what, for me, because I did the same thing, I lived on that side of Côte-des-Neiges as well, to me it was one of the nicest drives. It's calming to drive, at least it was, to drive across the mountain, but that's done.
Well, apparently, neither of you realized you were murdering the planet by doing so.
I had no idea. No idea. So, you know, is this new, by the way? This, you know, we're going to paint this under the guise of environmentally the right thing to do versus what this really is?
Idea. Remember the public consultations, and I think Madame Plante was rather taken aback by the vehemence of opposition to that. And now, well, she'll turn around and say, look at the smog, look at this, you know, and where are these guys going to train on their 2-ounce bikes? You know, I have a responsibility to my base. That's exactly what's happening. It's sad because I really think this should be for all Montrealers. And if you look at a map, you will see that the section that's accessible to people who aren't on bicycles is about, I would estimate, it's a little under half of the entire thoroughfare. So good luck. I mean, I'm convinced now that, you know, rather than people, you know, going into the streets and making up placards or whatever, I think more and more in this world, Madame Plante, that has changed, Montreal people are simply quietly, without much fanfare, leaving Montreal for places where it's not such a pain in the butt to live.
And contemplating how we'll vote next. Like I was saying to Aaron earlier, like she's losing me by the minute here. And I think that she thinks she's got a lot of the people like me in her pocket, and I don't think she does anymore.
Excuse me, but the crazy thing here, Natasha, as far as I'm concerned, and it's kind of sad, but it's fact is quite scary, is I think the line of possible candidates to be the next mayor of Montreal is even shorter than the line for the leadership of the Quebec Liberal
And therein lies the problem, right? Where's that champion? Where's the person to stand up? I mean, I realize, again, it's not happening today or tomorrow, Jim, but you're right. It's even probably worse. I can't even think of a single person, certainly no one in Ensemble Montreal that I can look at and go, oh, yeah, they'd be a good candidate to mayor. So, all right, we'll leave it at that.
The artist formerly known as Union Montreal.
Yeah, formerly known as the Opposition.
I will point out it's not going into effect tomorrow, by the way, so I do intend to start using it way more than I have been using it. That's also my little
saying that you won't.
Yes, I will.
All right, then we move on to what we started our show with today, Jim, is our question of the day. Bernard Dranville trying to, if fair to say, depoliticize the gender debate as far as bathrooms are concerned. Sort of not.
Well, no, he's trying to depoliticize the entire debate, the increasingly strident and occasionally scary debate over gender identity and the role schools have to play in all of this. And he announced today that he is going to create a special committee. I don't want to have political parties doing this because Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon wanted a legislative committee to look at this. And he says these issues should be decided in the National Assembly. And Dranville said today, no, you know what? I don't want to politicize this, and we don't need this. I want to have a committee of experts, even scientists, look into this in a calm and serene and peaceful manner, and then get back to us and provide us with their conclusions. However, my hat's off to La Presse for this, there's only one problem with this, guys. It's that this government did exactly that in 2021 and, in fact, produced a report by the Education Ministry on how to deal with the issues of gender neutrality, gender confusion, pronouns, whatever. It's out there. It already exists. So in terms of trying to depoliticize this issue, I think what Monsieur Dranville is, in fact, doing in the finest political traditions of Quebec is buy some time, hoping this might cool off. I don't think it's going to.
You don't think it's going to because the opposition will force something to happen here? Why don't you think it's going to?
I think there is, and I mentioned this yesterday after Saint-Pierre Plamondon kind of went ballistic, saying this is the radical left's agenda after this past weekend, where even though Pierre Poilievre saying I'm not bound by the conclusions of my party's convention, there were clear and rather heartily adopted motions concerning transgender transition on the part of young people and so on and so forth. I believe that there is, that both these parties feel they're on the right side of public opinion. I think they are. Whether that public opinion is well informed, whether it's just the emotional reaction of parents who suddenly find themselves being told, well, no, this actually isn't any of your business. That's not really a smart move to make, but that's essentially the message that's being transmitted. And frankly, when that vacuum is there and it's being filled by people who see some political yardage to be gained, we're going to be hearing about this a lot more, guys. I'm sorry, but we are there. Maybe not at the how can I put it, the American level, at least not yet.
God, let's hope so.
But well, listen,
it's
stranger things
ugly.
have happened.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, even in the past 10 years, guys, the conversations we've had about politics in Quebec and in Canada, the tone and the topics of those conversations have changed so radically after basically this echo of what's happening in the States is being felt here on a more regular basis. And believe me, you haven't heard the last of this in Quebec, and certainly not, you haven't heard the last of it in Quebec and not in Canada either. This is going to go on.
James Mennie at the Montreal Gazette. Jim, thank you. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Madam.